Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in to watch my latest video. Today we're doing something a little bit different. I've wrangled my handsome husband Shane
Hello.
to help me. I've asked Shane to come up with a list of questions. He always hears me ramble about archaeology stuff, but he's not an archaeologist, and I had him come up with some questions of things that he's curious about, and I figure you guys might be curious too. So without further ado, let's hear what you got.
Alrighty, I've thought a lot about this. First one I think I know. What is the biggest misconception that people have about archaeologists?
We don't dig dinosaur bones. Everybody thinks that we're out there digging dinosaur bones, and sad fact is that we're not. Archaeologists dig people.
I asked you that, I remember. It was a little sad, but it's cool what you do, so it's a good answer. Next question, you ready for this?
So ready?
Alright, so we went to the SAAs. What are the SAAs?
Society for American Archaeology.
A big archaeology conference, and there was a lady there named Heidi Roberts, I think.
Yep.
She had been doing archaeology forever, and she was a big fan of digging giant tracts of land to then decide where to go.
Like a backhoe trench?
Yeah, to find where the sites are. Do you like that method? Do you think there should be more of that, or?
I think that it depends on where you're at and what the archaeology area looks like. So if you're in an area that doesn't have a lot of archaeological sites, say it's pretty empty, then yeah, by all means dig a big trench, because you're saving yourself time and you're saving whoever's funding the project time. However, if you're in somewhere down in the Four Corners region, you know, near Mesa Verde or Chaco Canyon, somewhere like that, where there's a lot of archaeology, like a really rich archaeological history, yeah, you know, your backhoe trench might be expedient, but you don't know what you're digging through. You could dig through a midden or a house structure or a burial.
Could be a little dangerous.
Yeah, so you don't know. So I think you just kind of have to judge the situation that you're in and dig accordingly.
That makes a lot of sense. All right, I got another one for you.
All right, lay it on me.
Okay, so you're always going to do archaeology. You're off for 8 days, 5 days, whatever it is, and you're going to the same area you always go. Why do you have to keep going to the same area? Don't you guys discover everything there is there? Or sorry if that sounds stupid, but
no, it's a big world out there. That's for sure. There's a law called the National Historic Preservation Act, which was passed in 1966. That states that, you know, we've got to evaluate the historic and archaeological properties out there.
Didn't you say that they were destroying so much at the time that someone stepped in and just said no more? This needs to every site.
Yeah. Cultural resources, whether historic or archaeological, are finite. You know, there's not going to be Paleo Indians or archaic people or late prehistoric people around to make these sites anymore. So it's a good way.
It's forever once it's destroyed.
Yep.
That makes sense.
And so we're not, another misconception about archaeologists is we're out there to preserve and say, you know, you can't do this, we have to protect this, and that's not really what it is at all. It's sort of evaluating these cultural resources and finding out what's got a lot of research potential and information potential, and then kind of figuring out, okay, we should preserve this, or this is...
Yeah, I was surprised. Some stuff you guys preserve, really important stuff, and then some guys you go, okay, it's clear, go ahead.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with, you know, part of the National Historic Preservation Act. There's a subset of that called Section 106, and it has different criteria within that we use to evaluate sites. And so we figure out, you know, if the site can match any of those criteria, and if it does, then we determine that it should be, you know, it's special and it should be preserved, versus, you know, if it's like all the other sites in the area.
Not as important or something.
Yeah, that are all the same, and we've learned a lot of research. Like, if we're not going to get anything new out of it, then...
I gotcha. So it's the law, the rules, and they're preserving all sorts of stuff, and it makes sense.
Yeah. So it's like we want to have development happen too. I mean, new roads and buildings, or, you know, solar facilities that are going up, wind energy, that stuff all benefits me and everybody else. So we don't want to like tell people they can't build. It's finding that fine line of protecting and
it makes a lot of sense.
Getting development to happen.
All right, I got a doozy for you.
A doozy?
Yeah, a doozy.
Okay.
Okay, so in your opinion, just you, what's the biggest archaeological discovery in the last 10 years?
Range Creek.
Range Creek? And I've been to Range Creek. Range Creek's awesome. Tell them why.
Range Creek is exciting because it was privately owned by this rancher.
And he blocked off.
Yeah, he had 15 miles of canyon that was his property, and he didn't want people in there, so he put gates on either side, keep them out. And he sold that to the state in like 2001, 2002, and they let the archaeologists go in. And what was so awesome is these gates that this man had put up to keep people out, they also helped protect all of the archaeological sites that were in there. And so to date, we've recorded over 400 archaeological sites in this canyon from the Fremont people, and they are amazingly intact, like really pristine.
What little stuff I saw, there was still like pieces of pot and all these drawings, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
and I just saw a little bit.
It's really well preserved, and there's a lot of research potential there. We can figure out. We have a lot more opportunities because we're not driven by a deadline. There's not a road that's coming in, or it's not going to be bulldozed. And so we can take our time and really come up with some really neat research questions and figure out exactly what was going on there. So it's a special place.
Range Creek was way awesome, personally. All right, another question for you. So I always hear you and your archaeology friends talking about how site forms or certain tools you guys use are outdated or really slow you down. What's, say, the number one frustration you guys have with that?
Outdated report requirements, which sounds like a mouthful. I almost had trouble saying it.
Yeah.
But when we submit a report of our findings, so like say I submitted a report for the archaeological work that we did, and I tell you these are the sites we found, this is how many, this is what we think is important. That data is all important, but there's stuff in there that we include like environment sections or descriptions about geology.
Just slows it down? Or
yeah,
something?
I mean it is interesting and it is kind of pertinent information, but really at the end of the day that's not what they're interested in knowing. They're interested in knowing about the cultural resources, and I think it's a waste of time and money and effort to put kind of these outdated requirements that we have to put into reports.
That is weird. What are the odds that you think it'll change?
I don't know. We'll see. It's up at a really high national level, the people that are making these requirements, whether it's with the BLM or with the state or whoever. And so you never know, it could change, but I bet I won't see it in my lifetime.
Whoa. Alrighty, you ready for this one? What's
Maybe.
the coolest thing you found?
The coolest thing I found. The coolest thing I found actually isn't like an artifact or anything. It is when you're hiking all day and you're surveying and you're out there looking for something, and that moment when you walk onto an archaeological site and you know that you were the first person that's been there since it was abandoned. Yeah, and it's pretty rare. I mean, I've had to hike my ass off to get to places like this. It's a lot of hard work to get there, but when you're there and you see, arrowheads on the ground and chunks of pottery,
cool.
and it's really neat. It's a connection to the past, and it's really special.
That's so cool. All right, well, thank you for sharing all of that information goodness with me, because it did answer a lot of my questions, and I'm sure I'm gonna have more for you.
Good thing you live with me and I can answer them. If you guys are like Shane and have archaeological questions, get in touch with me. You can contact me through my website or through my Facebook page, or hit me up on Twitter, and I'd be happy to answer more of what you got. Thanks for watching. Shane, thanks.
Adios.
Bye.